Hello, welcome to my channel. I've just realised I've been chatting to a photograph and didn't press the record button. I'm Toby. Did I mention that? I'm not sure. If I haven't, I am Toby. And again, welcome to my channel. If you haven't seen me here, it's because I've been in the kids bit, reading the Numbers series, a series of children's books based around the numbers, which are role models and numbers you can count on, available at tdmbooks.com. Now, the other side to me is, see, I had to put a sound effect in there because of my children's books. I don't know, it just becomes natural. Is 100 Thoughts Meditation Journal. I've always been fascinated about the other side to life, the more spiritual side. So I decided to put my knowledge together about making books into a lovely, well, you've got to feel this, it's so nice. It smells wonderful too. Ooh. I can't remember what I was saying then. I've got sidetracked. So much for my thoughts being on track. So meditation journal. So I used to do a bit of meditation when I was younger. I used to go out in my garden shed, or my parents' garden shed, in the village where I used to live in Essex, and just stand there like this for 45 minutes and just allow my thoughts just to drift, but also to allow my consciousness from day-to-day life just to disappear and allow myself to dissolve. It's a very strange feeling at first because you start to disappear. You are no longer who you thought you were, which is quite interesting. Anyway, 100 Thoughts Meditation Journal. I set this up, or I wrote this, so you have a little space for you to have your collection of thoughts, which, you know, nowadays is very difficult to hold on to because the pace of life is so fast. So I think it's a good idea, if you can have the time or space. You don't have to buy this, but if you do, it'd be great. All you need is a notepad and a pen. At the end of the day, just to write your thoughts down and just to have a little time of reflection. Now, it's also a time for you to go a little bit deeper in yourself. So you don't want to just add all of your emotion and pouring it out over and over again, but also a time to reflect and have a little question and answer session with your higher self. So a little ponder, why is my life going in this direction? What did I need to learn today? Any guidance at all? So in here I put 100 thoughts. So some of them can guide you for that particular journaling, or you can just have a little look through, you know, whatever you prefer. But it's just a little bit of guidance or a little bit of fun just to start off your journaling. Anyway, I thought it'd be a good idea if I was to explain the reason why I put these thoughts in. Now, some of them are going to be a bit tricky because I didn't write those, so they're quite profound, especially this first one. But I'm going to give it a go, okay? And I do waffle on sometimes, and I do go into my little childish mode, like I said, because of my imagination with the children's books. So just bear with me a little bit. Anyway, today we're going to start with the first one. We're going to open. This is a new book, so it's just going to crack a bit. Ooh, it's lovely. First thought here. Here we go. We are the dream makers of our reality. A quote from Buddha. And as I did in my children's books, we're not going to do a drum roll or any other type of roll. We're just going to have a moment to reflect, just a quiet thought where you take a couple of deep breaths in and just relax. Okay. And then when you're ready, and I'm ready, and the universe is ready, let's begin. Okay, we are the dream makers of our reality. I printed off some notes. The reason for that is the more I explored the phrase or the saying by Buddha, the more complicated and more complex it seemed to be. It had so many different facets to it, so many different dimensions, just like reality. And the more I went into it, the more it seemed to evolve and grow and expand. So I didn't want to go off onto too many tangents because it is quite complex and my brain's quite limited. And I've had a cup of coffee, so I had a little break, printed these off, and I'm going to give it a go. I don't want it to be too heavy, light-hearted and just some fun. And at the end, if you want to add some little notes or any suggestions or any of your ideas into the comments below, you're more than welcome. Okay, we are the dream makers of our reality. I've split into two parts. One about reality and the second about being a creator. I love being creative, and I'm sure many of you do too. Right, reality. What is reality? Now, if I could give you a straightforward answer, I would probably win the Nobel Prize, but I'm just going to give it a little go about what is reality to us. The universe is very, very complex, and Albert Einstein, when he was looking at the theory of general relativity, was talking about that reality is subjective to the observer. So the observer sees reality differently to another observer, and that's true. We all see things differently through our senses. Some of us have really got keen ears, so we perceive and see the world differently because, you know, our sense of hearing is different. Say for instance, an animal will perceive the world differently because their sense of smell is so much more acute. Like a dog, for instance. If a dog was to come into this room, stay with me, it's a bit random, it will see the reality of this room very differently to a human being, you know. Our realities also can be dependent on our mindset, on how we see the reality according to our state of mind. Sometimes we don't want to see the whole truth, only partially, and that can restrict what is real and what's not real. We have two people who will observe the world differently. If you're in pain, you can observe the world differently than if you're relaxed, having a cup of coffee or on holiday on the beach. You go to a beach resort, you're sitting there, you don't have to work. It's a wonderful place to be. Isn't life great? But if you're the one that's working there in the heat every day, you're going to perceive reality very differently. Reality isn't just three-dimensional, and I think that's something else that we can explore. And something happened to me when I was young, and actually a lot of things happened to me when I was young, that helped me understand that the world isn't just three-dimensional. It was a little bit frightening because I used to feel things in my room, and it's not lovely when you're about 6 or 7 years old being petrified, and even when you're a little bit older being petrified that something's there. But something physical happened out of something that wasn't physical. I'm a scientist in my mind, not literally, but I like to understand how things work, and I don't think, just checking something just happened to my video there. I'm not quite sure, maybe that was a sign, who knows. Sorry, I got distracted there. So I was laying in bed and I woke up and I heard a bang in my living room. Now in my living room I had these boxes that attached to the wall, and they snap into the wall, so you put them in and lock them down into a screw. So it's, you know, the special way. So once they're in, there's no way they can come out. They have to come up and then be pulled out. Anyway, I heard this bang and I woke up and I just felt relaxed, and I thought, see what that is in the morning. In the morning, went into the living room, this box is on the floor. Now, having the scientist sort of state of mind, I thought, well, it must have been, some force must have taken to knock that off. So I put it back on, and I had to give it a huge whack to actually remove that from the screw. And so I'm just reflecting back then, I remember that state of mind, because I was quite relaxed, that the amount of force that was needed for that to come off was like having a hammer. But there's no way anybody was in my house, in my flat at the time, so this comes from something which is beyond our 3D reality. And later on, I went on some ghost hunts and some haunted castles, and you can smell things that aren't there, things moving which have no 3D physical thing touching it. You know, it's invisible, so it's another dimension. So the reality that we live in is more than a three-dimensional reality, and we may not always believe it, but through certain circumstances or things that personally in your life, we may become more aware of other things that are taking place. So reality is very much at the moment subjective, but it's very, very deep and mystical as well. Science is starting to explore different realities, and they're finding different dimensions, and they're also understanding that the universe itself seems to change according to how you observe it. There's something called the double slit experiment, and it's the nature of light and being a particle and being a wave at the same time, and how the nature of light seems to change according to whether you observe it or not. Quite intriguing. So if you ever have a bit of time, look up the double slit experiment, and really interesting to see. Anyway, so we have a bit about reality. That reality is actually quite deep, complex, and it can be multi-dimensional. And then we have the other side that I said about being creative. I'm going to turn the page over, or another page. Here we go. Actually, I didn't need to look at my notes too much there. Creative. We've been given the power to be creative. We look around the world, we can see how creative we've been as a human being, for the good and for the bad. So we have this sort of energy, this power to get something from being simple to something extremely complex. So it's quite, I think, I was going to say the word fortunate, but it's more, we take that for granted sometimes, that we have this power and we can abuse it, But for the good side of it, there's so much that we can achieve and so much we can do. And when you put the two together about being creative and reality, I think when Buddha was saying about we are the dream makers of our reality, is actually our potential to create something incredible is much more profound than what we think, because we're basing, is that a word? Sorry, my brain's gone. I'm not even sure if that's a word or not. I'm going to use basing our reality on like the 3D dimension, but actually our potential can go beyond those 3D dimensional, and things can transform beyond our scope of understanding. Like I said, when that box was hit off the wall, that was way beyond the three-dimensional reality and the physics that we know. We know that there was a force acting on it, but we're not sure of that force. It's the same as there's so many things that can happen in this world way beyond our scope of being three-dimensional. We look at the ancient texts and scriptures and other books about history, and there's mystical things happening. But now the only mystical things happening we seem to be is like our iPhone, that we can watch a film on it or a podcast or anything like that. That's what we seem to be driven by, but nothing very mystical. And I think that's what's missing in our existence, is we've forgotten what mystical side we have within us and the potential it has. So I think we are the dream makers of our reality. It's actually the reality that we can create is far beyond what our thought of it is at the moment. We look around us, it seems the world is in dire straits, which it is. And it's like, how can anything possibly change? That's because we're also viewing it from our three-dimensional mindset. But beyond that, beyond our three-dimensional brain and our understanding, there is a vast, vast potential and opportunity for change. And I think when our mind, our soul, and all of our potential works with the universe, then we can become one, and dramatic and incredible changes can happen. Just look at the universe. They originally came, they say, from nothing. Isn't that just phenomenal, incredible? How is that possible? We look at science now, we don't know how that's possible, how that nothing becomes everything. Anyway, Hopefully I haven't waffled on too much. Please put your comments in the section below. We are the dream makers of our reality. Thought number 1. Thought number 2 will be coming next time, but I think I'm going to have a little rest because this is quite deep. Something to ponder on. So if you've got a journal, you can write down your thoughts for this one. Otherwise, like I said, you can purchase, let me get it ready again, 100 Thoughts Meditation Journal at tdmbooks.com, where you can find my other books and other bits and pieces I do there. Until next time, have a deep breath, stay calm everyone. I know it's tricky out there, and take care.